The officer calmly requested Karen to step aside so he could review the bystander's video. As the footage played, it was undeniable. Karen's aggressive tailgating, reckless swerving, and brake checking were all captured clearly. Her protests grew weaker, replaced by an uneasy silence as the reality of her actions sank in. Just when it seemed like the story was wrapping up, the driver Karen had been targeting stepped out of their car. To everyone's surprise, they revealed they, too, had a dash cam, and it had recorded the entire incident from start to finish. The officer reviewed the footage, which not only confirmed Karen's actions, but also showed she had been speeding and weaving dangerously long before the confrontation started. In that moment, Karen's bravado crumbled. The officer issued her multiple citations, leaving her speechless. But the final twist. The onlooker's video went viral later, turning Karen into an internet lesson on instant karma. As Karen drove away, her car noticeably slower this time, the crowd began to disperse, still buzzing about what they had just witnessed. The targeted driver gave a small wave to the officer, got back into their car, and quietly drove off, maintaining the same calm demeanor they'd shown throughout the ordeal. The viral video that followed didn't just showcase Karen's meltdown. It sparked conversations about road rage and the importance of staying composed behind the wheel. Many viewers commented on how patience and accountability prevailed that day, turning a tense situation into a learning moment for everyone involved. For Karen, it was a humbling experience she wouldn't soon forget. Instant karma had taught her that actions have consequences, especially on the road. And for the rest of us, it served as a reminder to keep calm, drive safely, and let cooler heads prevail, even when things get heated. You won't believe what happened during this wild road rage incident that quickly took a turn no one saw coming. It all started on a busy street when a furious Karen, driving recklessly, decided to unleash her anger on another driver. Horns blaring, insults flying, she was determined to make her point, no matter the cost. But little did she know, karma was waiting just around the corner to serve up a lesson she'd never forget. In today's video, we'll witness how this heated confrontation escalated and unraveled the unexpected twist that left everyone stunned. From her dramatic outbursts to the instant consequences that followed, it's a moment that reminds us all why keeping cool on the road is so important. Buckle up because this story is about to hit full throttle, and you won't want to miss a second of it. It all began when Karen, already in a bad mood, found herself stuck in traffic behind a driver who wasn't moving fast enough for her liking. The frustration was written all over her face as she tailgated, flashing her headlights aggressively. The driver in front, calm but clearly aware of her antics, kept their cool and stayed within the speed limit. This only fueled Karen's temper. She started shouting out of her window, waving her arms in frustration, trying to get the driver's attention. The situation escalated when Karen swerved into the next lane, sped up, and cut the driver off with a sharp, reckless move. Other drivers honked in alarm, but she didn't seem to care. Her focus was locked on proving a point. Yet what Karen hadn't noticed was the unmarked vehicle just a few cars behind her, one that would soon play a major role in her story. As Karen sped ahead, she rolled down her window to yell something unintelligible, her frustration boiling over. The driver she cut off stayed steady, showing no signs of reacting to her antics. This seemed to annoy Karen even more. She slammed on her brakes suddenly, forcing the driver behind her to stop abruptly. Other cars came to a screeching halt, and horns blared all around. Meanwhile, the unmarked car behind had been observing everything closely. Inside, the driver, a plainclothes officer, was calmly noting Karen's erratic behavior. He wasn't the only one noticing. Several other drivers started recording on their phones, capturing Karen's aggressive moves. Oblivious to the growing attention, Karen stormed out of her car, yelling accusations at the driver she had targeted. As the scene unfolded, tensions escalated. It was only a matter of time before her actions caught up with her, but no one could predict how dramatic the outcome would be. Karen's shouting grew louder as she stood in the middle of the road, causing a scene that left other drivers shaking their heads in disbelief. The driver she had targeted stayed inside their car, refusing to engage. This only seemed to make Karen angrier. She banged on the hood of their vehicle, yelling accusations about how no one knows how to drive anymore. By now, the unmarked car had quietly pulled over, its driver stepping out with calm authority. Karen was too wrapped up in her tirade to notice. Around her, a small crowd of onlookers had formed, some whispering to each other, others holding up their phones to capture the chaotic moment. Just as Karen turned back to her car, she froze. The officer stood a few feet away, arms crossed, and with a steady voice said, "Ma'am, we need to talk about what just happened." The tension in the air was electric. Karen turned slowly, her face a mix of shock and defiance, as she realized the man addressing her was an officer. For a moment, she hesitated, but then, in true Karen fashion, she doubled down. "I don't know why you're bothering me," she said, her voice dripping with indignation. That driver was the problem, not me. The officer remained calm, pointing out her reckless driving and the dangerous brake check maneuver. But just as Karen began arguing, claiming she did nothing wrong, one of the onlookers stepped forward. "Actually, I've got it all on video," the bystander said, holding up their phone. Karen's face went pale. She glanced nervously at the growing crowd, realizing she was losing control of the narrative. But instead of backing down, she tried to shift the blame again, accusing the other driver of provoking her. The officer's expression hardened. What Karen didn't know was that this twist wasn't the end. There was more she hadn't accounted for.